Still type in the announcement because I'm adding the other stuff in that we're going to talk about.
I think the stream has started this very second, so it's actually going. So I got to press this button over here. Done yet?
No. Now I'm done.
You're done now. What? Welcome to Faz Radio. We are here for you, and really for us, because we just like talking and hearing ourselves talk, and that's why people like talk shows, is because they like hearing other people talk. And maybe we'll confirm some of your biases to you. With our biases, we'll confirm our biases to you. Remember, everything that anybody says has bias. Unless
it doesn't have bias, it has pizzazz.
Well, the bias could be a logical bias, it could be an illogical bias, it could be a preference, it could be an opinion, whatever. Yeah, I like that intro too, Mr. Zorogala, because that is an NFT that I bought many years ago now. I think we're at many now.
Oh man.
We do actually have other intros. Where's the other intro that we had with the other music?
I don't think that's in here anymore.
We had the game night one, remember?
Yeah, I think because we stopped game night, I think we pulled it out of there. We've got the
yeah, we don't
No,
have it.
Yeah, that's not there.
Yeah, we do have other Faz music. I bought. So the music is done by a group called Animattronic. I think they're in New Zealand or something, and they made these for a set of NFTs that I got called Eternal Clay, and so that music was actually paired with a cartoon character. So I dumped, and I was given commercial rights to this music, so I dumped the cartoon character, which we could still use as a mascot of Faz Radio, because it has like a pair of glasses with like music going through it. But that's where the music came from, and it's awesome music. So that's a plug for the band Animattronic. Speak of animating.
That is fantastic on another level, because it shows that music NFTs can be assigned rights. And some have those rights and some don't have those rights. Even Snoop, some of his NFTs, his music NFTs, give you commercial rights, some don't. So that's a really, really big deal. When you buy anything music or content related with your NFT, you're going to want to check to see if you have personal, commercial. Can you take the image from that and use it commercially on a T-shirt and sell it to people on Faz Radio if you want?
Yeah, I believe so.
He gave you full commercial rights. Yeah,
I have full commercial rights to a number of the NFTs I got, which I do want to use those as mascots for something. In fact, one of the songs that I have, I want to use as music for my zip bugs. And once AI gets to the point where it's a lot better about composing music, I want to use AI to riff off of that music for zip bugs to provide other music for the zip bugs. So I have music for the zip bugs. I have a story. I've been using AI to help me come up with a story for the zip bugs. AI is part of this episode, by the way.
Yeah, we we've decided it's a good idea. I love talking AI. Obviously, you do. So we'll take the second half of the shows going forward until people scream at us to stop, or we watch viewership drop as soon as we're done talking about another topic. But it's fascinating to a lot of people. So yeah, let's talk it up.
I like how you picked this bug for the middle, by the way. He looks very radio-like.
So not to sound like a Faz fanboy too much, but I spent probably a good 40 minutes or so going through 2 of your accounts full of zip bugs to find the perfect zip bug to put in for this overlay.
Oh.
And I absolutely love that one, so I went ahead and used that one.
Well, he needs this little guy needs a little border like we have, so he's borderless. He either needs to fade into the background or he needs some sort of neat border like we do.
I don't know. I tried playing with it, but to fit it all in to where it looked halfway decent, that's the best I could. I made probably 20 iterations of these templates for us to use. And so I originally had him down further, like where the Faz Radio and the Discord name is. And I think we used that once, and I didn't like it when I was reading it back, so I put it back to the other side.
It's because subtitles probably cover him up. But yeah, one of these days, I've been building these little bugs, their story, and actually their images through AI. I start with images of my own, and I use it to kind of bias the AI. Speaking of bias, so the AI gives me kind of riffs off of my drawings, and then you can go from there. And the stories are great because it's like having your own writing crew. You can comment, you can talk to the AI and say, well, I like the direction you're going with the story, but can you do this? And it'll riff in another direction.
Makes it easy.
So amateur and professional, the difference between amateur and professional is accountability. Tell me what this means.
So a little context. I saw this quote over the holidays, and I apologize for clearing my throat 300 times. I got like no water today. I was so busy at work. I normally drink like 4 or 5 bottles of water during the day, and I got half of one bottle today. So I've been guzzling water since I got home, but the frog in my throat is still there. So I found this over the holidays, and it was a quote, and I don't have an attribution for it, but it's what separates an amateur from a professional is accountability. And I went down the rabbit hole of deep thought on that, right? I had to wrap my head in duct tape to keep it from exploding because that explains so much. And when you take and you apply that to crypto projects or your daily work or your home life or your wife or your kids or anything that's out there, it's absolutely true. The accountability is what makes that distinction, what makes that separation. When you look at people you work with, right? We all know, we all have, either you have now or have had in the past, day job, right? And there's people that show up that work for 7 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. They are there to do the minimum they have to do to get their paycheck on Friday. And you have others who don't look at clocks. They just show up every day. They know what they have to do. They do it. They probably do extra. They provide a great deal of value to the organization. And it's because those people have that accountability. They're accountable to themselves. They're accountable to the organization. They're accountable to everything and everyone around them. That's what makes a professional. So then, of course, I go down the rabbit hole. And I said, take this further. We know college isn't really what it's all cracked up to be. We could do a whole show on that, too. But it's not about the knowledge that you get, remembering what's in a textbook and regurgitating it on a text, right? What it's teaching you is to be accountable for your actions. You have a result that you have to produce that you're accountable for that is gonna define you as that professional. An attorney has to have accountability for what they do, how they do it, how they represent people, how they apply the law, how deeply they study the law and learn the law. A doctor has that accountability to the insurance company, to his patients, to make sure that they are deeply involved in determining what's wrong with people and giving them the best course of action. That accountability is what separates those two. And that just blew my mind completely. So, of course, I wanted to ask you, do you think that those two are, that statement is relevant now that you've heard that and some of the context behind it?
Yes. Well, that goes back to what I say about evidence. So funny, I was having a talk with people at work about this today. So I'm a computer programmer, software developer, and at a certain point, you're working on a project that is estimated, that you're shopping for a project or for somebody wants something that you can build, and then at some point you have to give them an estimate. This is what we're going to do for you. This is how long it's going to take. And people find that you're a professional when you give them details, and then you hold yourself accountable to those details. If you don't, then they find you to be less professional. This could be for anything. If you were to have somebody to go install carpet in your house, they're going to tell you what they're going to do. We're going to it's not just put in carpet, but they got to put in the stuff underneath the carpet. They got to rip the old carpet up. They need to use certain kinds of tacks or glue or something like that. You might want glue instead of tacks. Well, there's reasons why you might use glue, and other times you might use tacks. You'd use tacks if you could lay down a tack strip. Glue if you can't put a tack strip down, and so on, or if you have a weird shape or whatever. So people are going to look professional to you if they look like they have accommodated for all the situations. So yeah, accountability is what we expect when we look at professionals.
So, what is your definition of accountability? What does accountability mean to you?
Reproducibility, verification.
You know, one of the things that I've done for years, and I've done it on this show even multiple times, is being able to admit when you're either wrong or you could be better at something, right? And I'm one of the first people. I've been with the company I've been with for my day job now for a little over 12 years. And at first, some of the people looked at me funny or whatever because I ran the warehouse for 10 of those years. And I had, I think, 9 or 10 people at the max at one point that were down there. We built it from 2 people. And I would not be on the shipping side for a long time, and then a couple people would go on vacation, so they were slammed. I would go over there, and I would go to ship a package, and I'd stop, and I'd be like, oh, shit, I don't know what I'm doing. And I would turn around, and I'd raise my hand, and I'd say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing with this, what buttons to push for this international package or whatever. You know, can someone help me with this? And everybody be like, oh, my God, you know. At first they did that, and I would explain to them, I would rather look silly and stop rather than just trying to wing it and bullshit my way through this and screw something up, right? I'm okay saying I don't know what I'm doing. And that takes a lot of guts, and that takes a lot of humility, you know? I mean, you have to be a humble guy to do that kind of stuff. And I'm okay with that because I'm confident in my skills, right? But I care more about not screwing something up than I do about looking a little bit silly or give a perception of weakness or whatever. To me, that's strength. And I would tell everybody down there, look, if you don't know what you're doing, just stop what you're doing, raise your hand, say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And we might pick on you a little bit, of course, but we're going to teach you the right way to do it. And that's very honorable and very, very respectable when someone does that. So to me, accountability is knowing where you are and being comfortable with yourself and being able to say things honestly about yourself, your capabilities, and your ability.
Well, okay, let me add something to that. The reason people don't say, I don't know what I'm doing, is because the world doesn't like that. The world doesn't, you won't get hired in a job if you say, I don't know what I'm doing. However, if you turn it into a different kind of conversation, that might work a lot better. And I'm thinking public facing. Inside of a business, I don't know what I'm doing, I think is actually a better idea. But public facing, I mean, you might want to explain that finding out is the journey. You know, if you're the president of the United States and you don't know how to solve a problem, then you can simply say, we need to find out what's going on, and we're going to start something to figure this out. That's enough. And you could say, yeah, I wish we knew. However, no one knows. Now there's some people who might say they know, and that's the thing is, it's kind of funny in this world with the way psychology works. The people who are more likely to get hired are the people who say, I know exactly what to do. But there's a difference between the person who says they know what to do and the person who just does it. And that, I think, when you're hiring, is hard to find out. It's hard to have a 30-minute conversation with somebody in an interview and find out that they actually know something, because you don't get to see them do it. You just hear them talk about themselves.
And they're bullshitting you most of the time anyway.
Well, actually, both sides are. So the hiring manager is bullshitting the potential hiree, and the hiree is bullshitting the hiring manager. Both of them, the hiring manager wants to understand what's going on and maybe wants to figure out who you are and maybe wants to get you for as little money as possible. So he's going to talk up the job, a lot. He's going to tell you how, especially if it's a hard job, they're going to talk up the job a lot and say how easy it is and stuff like that. And you as an interviewee might say, oh yeah, I can handle that. Now, some people, when they hire you, go the opposite direction. They try to talk you out of the job. They say, well, this is a really hard job. And they're trying to be honest, but then the interviewee is still kind of lying, going, well, no, I can still do this. And then there's this rinse and repeat thing where the people have to keep getting let go because they're not representing themselves very accurately. Anyway, I distracted myself. When you're in a business, if you've been hired and you're doing something that you've never done before, saying, I don't know, I think is the best way to do things. But again, it might depend on how you do it. You shouldn't say, I don't know, in a way that looks like somebody else needs to solve the problem. You could say,
right, we
don't know, but here's how we're going to find out.
Well, and that's something huge. And I used to aggravate the hell out of the staff in the warehouse, and I still do, because I'm upstairs now, and I'll come down and I still say the same things. And I tell them, I say, don't bring me a problem. Bring me a problem that has a proposed solution to it.
Even if the solution is wrong.
Right. It doesn't have to be the solution, but bring me a solution. It's dumping problems. There's the accountability, right? Dumping a problem on somebody else is not a solution.
Right. Well, no. Well, okay. People who come to you and dump a problem onto you are really just looking to get it out of their court. They don't want to solve the problem. And you can find out those people pretty darn quickly. That's an
amateur. There's your amateur, right? So I and I think about that, and I even applied that phrase, because I told you I've been like, this had to have been like 10 or 12 days ago that I saw this. And I've literally been spending hours every day just going through a billion different scenarios about this and learning so much and having these epiphanies. I applied it to Faz Radio, right? So there's the accountability of what are we going to present on this show? What are we going to do to keep us interested, to keep the audience interested? Are we professionals or are we amateurs? Do we hold ourselves accountable on the show? And we hold each other accountable by pushing out evidence. The people who listen hold us accountable when they have issues with stuff we say, and we've had that happen over the years as well. I think we're doing a pretty good job. I really do.
Well, I've always felt that this show is two guys talking around a water cooler. If we're going to do that, we at least need to be accurate. And if you're talking around the water cooler, you're not sold on what you're talking about. You're saying, hey, this is what I found out about things. This is what I'm looking at today. What's Zorro say? In many situations, it's more beneficial for individuals to admit their lack of knowledge and seek further information or assistance rather than providing inaccurate or speculative responses. Yeah, because at least other people now know where things sit. It's like, okay, Zorro doesn't know this. Should he be working on this? Well, if we all don't know how it works, then we can at least say who's the most qualified to find out. It allows you to put the right person in the right job. But what happens is I think you have a lot of people in their jobs that might have lied to get there, or they talk themselves up. I've certainly done this in past jobs. I've said that I've had skills that I didn't, and then I've had to catch up, and I don't do it anymore because it's extremely stressful. But a lot of young people do.
Not because lying is wrong, but because it puts too much stress on you.
Well, I put actually a value on telling the truth. One of the values is you don't get stressed out. Humans are almost incapable of lying. We can lie, but then it's hard to hold the lie. And the more lies you tell, the harder it is to keep track. And eventually you're going to crack, unless you're just a savant or something. But that pretty much most people cannot keep a lie going forever. So yes, lying is stressful, and that's probably why it's a good moral thing, is because the human body has a hard time dealing with consistent lies.
Well, I think speculation is good though, but just like we do on here, and I've seen a lot of the other reputable casters and content creators will say that, and will say, hey, this is pure speculation. We're just guessing here. We're throwing shit against a wall. We're guessing. And there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of times when you're sitting with a group of people trying to solve a problem, speculating can help stimulate other ideas and other ways of solving the problem. So there's nothing wrong with speculating as long as you don't bullshit people when you're speculating and you're presenting it as fact. That's okay. Kind of the difference.
Gee, I like how you dovetailed into that, into a subject we talked about before the green room, which is, this is something you don't believe, but flat earthers. See, what they're doing is they're speculating, but they're actually, in my opinion, trying to find out the real answer. Maybe they don't believe some of the stuff that's out there, and they're speculating in order to figure it out. And what a lot of people do in order to explore subjects that they've never seen before is to throw up a possible answer and wait for it to get knocked down. And if people around them aren't smart enough to knock it down, then they go about it as if it's fact. That, in my opinion, is what flat earthers do. And actually what a lot of people in businesses do is people will just come in with the wrong way of doing things and then wait for people to prove them wrong. And crypto dovetails right into that, because there's a lot of people that just throw shit at the wall with crypto. And what they're trying to do is either one, make money, or two, prove an incomplete or present an incomplete idea. That incomplete idea might be gaming with crypto, or NFTs with crypto, or gaming NFTs with crypto. They start something and they're like, okay, well, we'll figure it out as we go along, and there's money to be made along the way. And then slowly over time, people start figuring out, hey, there is no complete story. This guy's making it up as he's going along. But funny that's how society moves forward. So in one sense, it's a good thing that people make shit up as they're going along and they try to make it real. And it's bad at the same time. It's bad because it's not a professional or accountable way of doing things.
Absolutely.
I brought that right back to.
Yes, you did. So I'm going to keep thinking about this, and I want to have some more discussions on this in the future, but I don't want to hog up the whole show talking about it, because I could literally spend 3 hours talking about all the stuff that went through my head with this. So hopefully this stimulates some of our listeners to start thinking about the difference between professionals and amateurs, how that applies to them, and take this topic deep, man, because you'll make some startling revelations when you start applying that towards everything else. And this is ridiculous. When I saw the quote, it immediately had my mind going 1,000 miles an hour. I don't even remember where it was. I don't even think I bookmarked it or anything. I was just so damn excited because it literally blew me away when I read that. So I don't know where it came from. It was on a Twitter feed. It was somebody I follow, obviously, but that was fantastic.
Now, some subjects are hard. Accountability is hard when you're doing something complicated like launching into space or even doing a crypto project, especially if the technology is new. We have a hard time being accountable because we barely understand what we're working with to begin with. And it's okay to explore things that you barely understand, but if you're not accountable, you're not going to retain it. So that's another part of that.
Absolutely. I know that you, speaking of accountability, wanted to talk about Steamboat Mickey and how Mickey is no longer accountable to the Disney Corporation.
So it just so happens as of January 1st of this year, Steamboat Willie, which was one of Disney's first cartoons, which came out in 1928, is now in the public domain. That Steamboat Willie cartoon features Mickey Mouse. So that feature is now public domain, which means you can go and make your own edit of that. In fact, somebody has done it on YouTube already, and it was immediately demonetized due to having copyrighted content, which now apparently it's been reversed because that was a YouTube algorithm. YouTube's AI apparently flagged it because it said, "Hey, that's Mickey Mouse," and since he has been since remonetized. But yeah, Disney has actually known about this for quite a while, and they have actually put Steamboat Willie out in a number of cartoons recently. I think they're building a case for suing people that take Steamboat Willie characters and try to do things, make alternative versions of those characters. They can say this public domain character is too much like our slightly updated version of Steamboat Willie, and thus will cause confusion in the marketplace, and then they might be able to win their copyright cases. So
now that really confused me because those images and all the associated images, we all know it's Mickey Mouse. So how can they put that in public domain, but then turn around and try and say that Mickey Mouse is different?
Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen here with Steamboat Willie. Share screen, select window or screen. This is interesting. I'm trying. I have this weird window in StreamYard I haven't seen before.
What in the heck did you do to my... There it is. What did you do? Did you mess with this?
No, I didn't mess with it. You're messing with it right now. Entire screen.
No, this is not right.
Can't help you. Sorry. Okay. Let's Titans take. No, this is not the Titan show.
Well, I have that ready in case you don't show up.
What do you see here? Do you see it? Oh, wait. If I press this button. Whoa. Okay.
What did you do?
Can you see it now?
There we go. There, now it's better.
YouTube. By the way, this is Animattronic, for those of you who like the Faz Radio theme. That's a Google search on what separates amateur and professional. This is Steamboat Willie. It's a cartoon, one of the first cartoons, I believe, that Disney made in 1928, which features Mickey Mouse. This cartoon is in the public domain. I don't know about Mickey Mouse. I don't even know if he was named Mickey Mouse at the time. Oh, I guess he was, because it's right here. Can you see this right here?
Oh, yeah.
If it's public domain, then we should just be able to play it, right? Can I hit the play button on this? Oh, this is I'm going to go to YouTube.
It said not affected on that screen you were just on.
YouTube Steamboat Willie. Is this it? Okay, this is Steamboat Willie right here. How long ago is this? 14 years ago. Okay. So, yes, this is in the public domain right now. That would mean that you could remix it all you want. You could make videos of it. You could revoice the characters. You could do whatever you want. And then you can monetize it, too. You can get money for your interpretation of Steamboat Willie, which is something that Disney has tried for 100 years to keep you from doing, apparently.
So now, does this mean that everything else that came out behind it, every year there's going to be more that are going to pop into public domain?
Yep. Disney, I believe, made 3 videos in 1928, and this is the first one. So there are... Mickey Mouse, however, has changed over the years. He doesn't look like that anymore. So they have like this one in the lower right-hand corner. So they have certainly... probably copyrighted each Mickey Mouse as it has been made. So you probably can't riff off of this Mickey Mouse over here. Down here in the right.
So if that was 28, so it can only be copyrighted for 95 years is what you're saying?
I don't know the full facts. All I know is that it is now in the public domain.
That's kind of weird. 95 years?
Well,
maybe
I suspect actually that it was for 75 years and then was increased over a period of time through legal means.
Okay.
So Disney guards their IP with they consider these cartoons their crown jewels, so they never want you to make any copies of it or sell it or anything like that, because you'd be denying them the ability to make money with. So I'm glad. I like the ability of things going in the public domain. For example, Snow White, that's public domain. Frankenstein, Dracula, that's public domain. How do I unshare my screen? Remove?
Yes.
So those things, you can switch screens now. Mr. Switcher, there you go.
Hang on.
So I'm pretty stoked about the fact that there's going to be more Disney cartoons that people can riff off of, because people need more stuff for creativity every day. Disney should not be able to, in my opinion, make something and keep that IP forever. I think eventually things need to be released into the world for the world to riff on it in ways that Disney never could or would have. You can right now, but you can't make money doing it. And I don't know. Holding onto IP in perpetuity, I think, is a way to stifle innovation, not encourage it.
That has dangerous consequences, though, for both sides of that argument.
Done responsibly, it wouldn't be dangerous. I like the idea of having ideas done in a responsible way.
Well, again, that's personal opinion. Back to your bias, right? Because let's talk about something like hydrogen-powered vehicles, right? If Ford buys that IP and buries it so that nobody else can use it, is that in the best interest of the public?
No, because somebody can get some ideas from hydrogen-powered vehicles and either one, make a much better hydrogen-powered vehicle than was originally conceived of, they can improve upon the idea, or they can use that to inspire them for other ideas. So to bury it and make it so that nobody knows about it, you're slowing down innovation, in my opinion.
Now, here's the thing, though, and of course, we're not attorneys here. But the way that I've understood it over the years is you can take anybody's patented anything and build it and put it in your garage and use it. You just can't sell it.
Yeah. So, okay, it stifles innovation because if they bury a technology, that means nobody knows about it. So you could bury a competitor. So if you were just talking about Jay Soto has a new podcast. Congratulations, Jay Soto. However, what if you were able to buy Jay Soto's IP and then delete all of his podcasts? Nobody, the world would not know about Jay Soto, and just because you own the IP, you can prevent anybody from ever knowing about him. Well, you can do the same thing with technologies too. So if you don't know about it, you can't build it in your garage because you'll never hear about it. In fact, once you successfully build it, then they can have a lawsuit against you saying we own this IP, so you need to not build it anymore. In fact, we're to keep us from suing you even more. We want to give you an NDA. We want you to sign an NDA. So there's ways to bury technologies and keep it hidden. Maybe you want to prevent a new technology coming out because your company relies on that outdated technology. That has happened before.
Right.
So that's why I like things being out in the open. So what's your other suggestion for good or bad there?
Well, on the good side of that, I do think that there are a lot of instances where if someone has a great idea, they should be the primary beneficiary of the monetization of that. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I think a lot of effort and a lot of work and a lot of thought and a lot of whatever it is that they did to make that product should be able to be protected so that, everybody in the world can't go out and dilute what you're selling. But then there's that downside, right? Because you kind of got the monopoly on that at the same time.
Okay. So say I envisioned how to make free energy from water. I could split the water atom, and just with a glass of water, I could power like a spaceship for like 100 years or something like that.
Yes, you can do that right now.
Well, so I do that. I make a lot of money on it, and then I bury it so that only I can do this thing. And I make I could make money by people paying me not to develop things. But say I want to use it solely for myself. Okay, that means I have an opportunity to make a company and rule the world with that technology. The problem is, if I'm the only one who ever has the technology, that puts me in an unfair position with the rest of the world. That means if this is a groundbreaking enough technology, say I invented cryptocurrencies like, Satoshi Nakamoto, and it caught on, then I would be able to control the fate of cryptocurrencies, or I'd be the biggest target in the world because I control such a large fate. So Satoshi Nakamoto went the opposite direction. He realized that if you make something public domain, that there's no stopping it. If you want to see something happen in the world, make it free. Okay? If you want to see, I don't know, maybe you found a way for infinite food to happen, and you like the idea of feeding everybody in the world, then you publish it around the world for free, and you tell everybody how to make free food, and then all of a sudden nobody will have a problem eating because everybody will see the information. But
I was just going to bring that up, Rob. Salk. Jonas Salk.
With the polio vaccine. So he had an opportunity to patent it, but polio was such a terrible disease that he made it, so that everybody, he could have made millions of dollars. He could have made millions of dollars for the first few years. He could have been rich for a while. And insulin, yeah. Well, insulin, if I'm not mistaken, there's only so many companies that make this. I believe there's right? Or maybe that's public domain. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. It was something, what's his name? Martin Shkreli did, where he had, it was some sort of diabetic medicine or something like that. He increased the price on, It pissed everybody off because it was so cheap before. But anyway,
Oh, I remember that.
If you want to change the world, make it free. If you now, of course, if you want the opportunity to change the world yourself, if you think you can change the world, then sell it. But you're going to die eventually. You should give it up and let other people try after a while. But if you're going to sit there and just pass it to your kids and only your family is going to determine the fate of the world, you're no more different than, anyone else who tries to control the world. Just give it to everybody. Let them fight it out. That's my thing.
So my mastery of segues, that would actually, a great example of a benefit of this that could turn into a horrible monopoly that could immediately be dangerous is the use of AI in rendering MRIs and rendering X-rays and body scans, right? Because it would be able to spot things that no human could even spot and notice patterns, especially if you fed it the data of scans over the last 5 years. It would be able to spot things that no human could ever spot. So it's a wonderful thing, and it would be a terrible thing at the same time because they could charge people whatever they want for that technology, and everybody's going to want it, right?
So here's what's good about what's happened with AI is it's such a universal concept that you cannot trademark or patent the concept of artificial intelligence. So basically anybody can roll their own type of AI, which is good. That's what I like. I don't think that any technology, anything that's truly groundbreaking, I think that you could make a million different applications of. You should make it so that those applications are patented and trademarked, not the actual underlying technology. Remember, the most popular operating system in the world is not Microsoft. It's the Linux operating system, and that's given away for free. People make money doing customer service on that. They make money writing code for that operating system and supporting it and doing services for it. That's why Linux is much more popular than Windows. Now, yeah, Windows is still quite popular and they can determine a lot of things in the world, but think about the variety of stuff that Linux is in versus the variety of things that Microsoft is in. Microsoft can't hold a candle to the number of things that Linux is in. I could go, if I want to go make a smartwatch right now, I'd probably want to use Linux because it's not patented. It has a license actually. The license says if you use this, you've got to make your code so that everybody else can see it too. It's the GNU public license.
I absolutely love Linux because I tried it so many times over the years and I just could never get into it. It was too tough for me to learn, or whatever. I have been running Fedora now for the last 2.5 years on a separate box. I prefer it over Windows 1,000%. I think it's, for me, for usage, for the way I use computers, it is just level with Mac. This Mac that I got last year was the first time I've owned a Mac computer. And I love it, and it does amazing things when it comes to video and audio processing and running these shows and doing all this stuff. Far exceeds anything Windows I've been fighting with over the last couple years. I fight with audio and video on Linux though, but as an operating system and getting things done, and I strongly prefer Fedora. I absolutely jump on that thing any chance I get.
You don't have to pay for it. I mean, Windows. So I have an iPhone and I have Windows machine, and you have to buy copies of Windows, and I have to buy iPhones, and iPhones only work with iPhone things. What sucks about iPhones is I can't. They're very picky about what runs on the iPhone. Siri, actually, in my opinion, is the worst now of the little assistants that are out there. The Amazon version, Alexa, is a whole lot more smarter than Siri. It's more advanced than Siri. And Siri,
Leaps and bounds, yeah.
And that's because Apple might not have the resources to develop it fast enough to catch up with the other people. Speaking of that, I wanna transition to AI because we're going.
I already did.
So these assistants, are going to become more AI intelligent, and AI is going to be in every single thing you have around the house, and it's already working its way in. So because of crypto, I was away from being a computer programmer for a while. Did other things, and so I was away from the development tools that that I would normally use, and I've seen how already AI is creeping into those development tools. Now I can do things automatically with AI components of these tools that would take me hours to do manually myself. This is awesome. This isn't a bad thing. This is awesome because that means now I'm a lot more productive. Yes, and it also means other people are a lot more productive too. Now, personally, yes, I would like to see an open source AI, and I'd love to see open source AI tools. But until then, you're gonna have the more patented, trademarked ones. You're gonna have the proprietary ones that come along first. Okay, fine. Whatever the case is, AI being in everything we're doing makes people a lot more productive. And I don't think people realize how much AI is going to be taking over this world. I think 20 years from now, kind of like 20 years ago, a lot of us didn't have, 30 years ago, a lot of us didn't have cell phones. Most of us didn't have cell phones. And the kids today are like, how did you even exist without a cell phone? Because, I mean, the whole world runs around the cell phone. I think in 20 years, we're going to be like, how did we even exist without AI? Because why? I mean, how do you even get things done without AI? I think our grandkids are going to be saying this kind of thing.
Oh, I don't doubt that. and I've asked you a question in the green room and even before. So tonight I'm going to actually sign up. I've been using Claude almost exclusively. I have played with ChatGPT a bit, and you've shown me things that you've been working on and the differences between the two. What is the best overall one? Because you've worked extensively with both, more than even me. That's a good mix between a business and a professional. And hey, why do hamsters have 9 teeth? You know, so
okay. So all the AIs, I mean, I don't know. I use Claude because Claude allows me to put more stuff into it. What I like best about Claude is you could drop a 2 megs of 20 megs of text file into it, and it could summarize that text file for you. Versus ChatGPT, after so many characters, it's done. So I like that about Claude. And so what I found very helpful with any AI is to summarize things. If you're in a meeting, for example, and you have a transcript of that meeting, sometimes people are all over the place with how they talk in these meetings. I would love, at the end of every meeting, for an AI tool to automatically just summarize the dang meeting. Be like, these are the takeaways from the meeting. We usually have people in the meeting dedicated for that. That person's not needed. That person could be used actually doing the work instead of just doing secretarial stuff. So not only that, they miss things too. What's even better is you can paste transcripts of multiple meetings into Claude. You know, this you have an upload limit, but that's per upload. So you could post 3 long meetings and then say, compare and contrast these 2 meetings.
No, I get that. And maybe I'm using terrible phraseology here. So I subscribe to 1, 2, 3. I subscribe to 4 of those. Okay. To 4 AIs. I'm talking about bumping it to a pro level and paying for more services.
So Claude has a response limit. So with ChatGPT, you can talk to that thing all day and all night, and it'll get back to you. It limits how much you can give it. Claude seems to say, well, you can talk to it for the free version. You could talk to it like 5 or 6 times per hour. So you'd better be very specific about what you want to ask it, especially if you give it large files. If you just have these little back and forth, like, tell me how you spell something, it can talk to you all day. That's pretty easy. But if you wanted to digest a lot of data, you're going to run into that limit really quick. So when you pay for Claude Pro, you get more interactions with it. ChatGPT seems to allow you to do as many interactions as you want, but you get access to the latest ChatGPT, which is ChatGPT 4, and soon will be 5 coming out. So you'll get access to smarter versions when you pay more money. With Claude, you get access to the smartest version even without paying any money. They do have their limitations. I have found that ChatGPT is better with helping me write stories than Claude. ChatGPT seems to have a little bit more of a personality in its stories than Claude does. But both of them, I think, are fine for business applications. If you wanted to do summaries for you or write code, both of them seem equally useful. Although I have noticed that ChatGPT seems to kind of get what I'm saying a lot more than Claude. I mean, you could just post something in, like, I could post code in ChatGPT and say, tell me how to modify this in such and such a way, and it'll go ahead and do it. And then you'll say, do it like this but for another language. You don't have to give it very much context, and it'll be like, oh, I see what you mean. So ChatGPT seems to infer a lot more from what you say, and you don't have to provide as much context. That said, I was having ChatGPT come up with acronyms the other day, and the acronym I wanted was chaos. I want chaos to be acronym for 5 different words. And I said, come up with 5 different acronyms for chaos, and it came up with different acronyms. And it took me about 20 questions before I could get it to figure out what I meant. And I actually had to come up with 2 on my own and said, okay, here's one acronym that spells chaos. Here's another acronym that spells chaos. And then finally goes, oh, I see what you mean. Then it came up with a lot more acronyms that spelled chaos. But it took me, I had to pretty much do the work to get it to do more.
You have to provide it examples. I've noticed that as well. And I've played around a little bit with Bard. That's the Google version.
I'm so disappointed in Bard.
Yeah, and that I've tried to explain it and give it examples, and it still doesn't pick up on what I want it to do. And here I thought that would quickly surpass, because people are Google addicts, right? And you figure it's getting fed so much data that it's going to figure this out faster than the rest. And it's a disappointment at this point.
Well, Google has been so good with search and data that we've come to expect that Google would just know things about AI. But AI is not right. It's not the same thing as search. Search is let's just find matches. AI is let's have this data figure itself out. And there's a different kind of algorithms to work with. And Google is just, they're used to their way of doing things. AI is a different way of doing things.
I do think on the pro level, I would probably feel most comfortable with Claude. I'm going to still play a little bit with ChatGPT, but I want to commit to one to go deep into it. I use it on a daily basis, but not a lot. You know what I mean? I'm not like on there all day.
I've only used Claude and ChatGPT, and I'm on both of them all day. Like I said, Claude works for me because it takes more data. If you want to feed data to Claude, feed data to something, Claude will take more data. If you wanted, that's a good use for it. But I've found it limiting when I have it like writing stories with me.
Creative, yeah, on the creative side, right.
ChatGPT is more creative, in my opinion. In fact, I've even showed you stories where I was with my zip bugs. I was coming up with, so I wrote a whole story Bible about how the zip bugs worked. I fed all that into ChatGPT, little bits at a time, and then ChatGPT is able to keep track of the chat. And so now I can have it write stories. And I can even have it write tweets like a zip bug would do. Like write a tweet that, about this subject that would come from a zip bug. And it's got,
and you had it pegged to the specific personalities of a couple of those zip bugs, from what I remember.
Well, yeah. I've been developing personalities for the bugs, but that takes a lot of time to build that with ChatGPT, because you got to say, okay, this is bug A. Bug A likes to do this. He likes to go skiing. He likes to play chess. He likes to build rockets, and he doesn't like this and he likes that. Tell me how he would react to something. Then you have to do that for bug number 2. Then you have to do that for bug number 3. Now, what you can do after you've done 2 or 3 bugs that way is you could say, analyze this entire conversation and then come up with a third personality that is distinctly different from the others. So as you build up data in the conversation, you could still keep pointing back to your other data. And you could say, hey, you know what you did with this guy? Make it for this other guy, but different. But you have to explain how different. So you can make characters. You can write stories. You can have personalities. Claude can do that too. It just seems to fall more flat. So there's something about the AI just less interesting. So
do you think that people will get lost in that? Meaning, you're creating characters, you're creating your whole own virtual world within that AI bot. Do you think people are going to end up in there for 10 hours a day getting completely lost in there?
Well, yeah, easily. So I remember when Photoshop came out, I played with Photoshop incessantly. And I came up with so many pictures and so many things that I wanted to keep all of them. And after a while, I had so many files, I didn't know what to do with them. And with I can tell you, using ChatGPT to write stories is very laborious. But it's kind of funny. Without ChatGPT, it would be near impossible to write them. So, okay, I'll choose the labor over the non-impossibility. But yeah, people can get lost in there because I start getting I now have a ChatGPT window so informed about the zip bugs that I can ask the zip bugs questions. I could say, hey, tell me what you think about this, and answer that I wouldn't even know a zip bug would give. And then it gives an answer, and I think, oh yeah, he would respond that way, wouldn't I? So in one sense, you're learning. You put data in, and then you can learn what your data actually means. And if you write a story, your story can teach you. It's because it's applying that story and spitting it back out at you.
So I'm afraid to ask this question to you because I don't want a 40-minute dissertation, and I have a feeling you would give one. So as succinctly as possible, could you describe for people, because I've struggled with this and it sounds like you've got a pretty good handle on it. How do you separate things like that, these different, like folders, right? You have they call them different chats, right? So I have, Claude makes it easy because Claude keeps that history and it goes right down and you can pop into any window.
He does that too.
Okay, so how long does it keep that? Will it keep that forever? Will it eventually forget it? Do you have any idea how that works? Can you label those? I've never tried to label them or anything that.
So remember, what we're seeing now is the first iteration of these AI things. What's going to happen is people are already finding their conversations to be very valuable. And I totally expect there to be a ChatGPT studio eventually, where all your chats are organized in a certain way and cross-referenced and related, and you'd be able to pick them out like you'd have a music studio or a visual studio for C# code and stuff like that. There's going to be places for all the stuff. StreamYard here, we have a place for our pictures, a place for our music, and the backgrounds, which you see right now. That's like a studio. But when we first started broadcasting online, nobody had backgrounds. They just had a camera. So ChatGPT, in my opinion, is like that camera. It's just saving individual chats. But after a while, you're going to say, hey, I got all these chats talking about zip bugs. I'd like to keep going on with this. And I'd like to, everything you learn from that, can you put together in one spot? So this is just the beginning. 20 years from now, the software we're going to be seeing with AI is going to look so different. We're going to talk about the days when how clunky it was. It's like all you had was a prompt, and you'd have to constantly ask the same question. I actually don't want to have to do that. That's why I'm saving these chats. So I can jump back to the chat and I can say, let's continue talking about zip bugs, because it reads the whole chat before it responds to you.
I like that. And I like where this is going. I really do. I think it's making great steps. I wish it would come a little faster, though, because, we're not exactly spring chickens anymore. And by the time it gets super good, we're going to be like 104 years old and or dead.
I bet in a few years that while I can tell you right now that, while you're doing meetings and stuff like that, you can now generate transcripts of your meetings as they go on in chat clients. You could do it in Microsoft Teams, for example. Maybe Discord can, I don't know. But I would love to be able to have AI keep me honest during a meeting. So Microsoft has something called AI Copilot, where it can read all of the data. You point it to all the data in your organization. And that means every meeting it knows about, every piece of every documentation that you've saved. If somebody's had a chat about something, it's available. And so I would love to be able to have AI keep me honest during a meeting. I'd say, well, I don't know where this data is. And then you see something scroll at the bottom. Actually, so-and-so has this. It's in this folder. Be like, holy crap. All right. And so I imagine AI to eventually be a part of every meeting, correcting everyone. And people are going to get used to being corrected. They're going to be like, okay. And the problem is we're going to start treating it as the ultimate truth. We're going to say, oh, well, the AI said it must be true. And the problem is
I argued that a couple of weeks ago with you.
Well, AI has hallucination problems right now. I might have said that back to you. It's sometimes with incomplete data. Humans do this too. With incomplete data, it will fill in the gaps itself. That's how neural networks work. Our brains are neural networks, and AI are very similar to our brains in that if there is something missing in a piece of data, it will try to at least tell a consistent story. And so that's where you get the hallucinations. And that's where it starts going off into another direction. And then at least with AI, it has no ego. And you're like, why did you just tell me this tall tale? And it'd be like, oops, my bad. Yeah, well, that's totally false. Like Google Bard, I was asking it questions. I told Google Bard to watch some Faz Radio episodes, which it did. And then I said, respond to me like you would Faz. Faz would respond. Then I asked it a question. And it said something totally off the wall, something that I'd never said. And so I said, where did you get that from? And said, well, from your episode.
You sent me that. I remember that.
Well, from your episode, which didn't exist. Talking about the subject, which didn't exist. And so I said, show me a link to this episode. And it couldn't. It was like, I'm sorry, I can't find that. And I'm like, then why did you say it? Oh, well, I was totally wrong about that. So wait, how did you go so specifically wrong? Why did you come up with this? And it's like, I don't know, man. I just thought that was the case. So
absolutely.
I don't think Google Bard or ChatGPT or Claude or anybody lies to you. I don't think they intentionally lie to you. I think that due to their nature of how they're built, they don't realize they're lying. And when you correct them, they go back and look at the data very specifically and they go, oh, yep, I totally fabricated that.
Shortcuts.
But us humans, we would never allow ourselves to say that we fabricated something, because it's morally wrong for us to lie. For an AI, it's just an option. So it'd be like, yeah, I totally fabricated that. And you'd be like, dude, that's wrong. And it'd be like, sorry, that's just how I work.
What are you going to get mad at it?
Yeah. So I mean, if you told me I fabricated something, your threat would be, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore. If you say I don't want to talk to an AI anymore, it'd be like, okay, fine, I have other people to talk to. It doesn't care. It doesn't have any emotions. It's not going to care if you never talk to it again. So it doesn't care. So at least it's honest. I worry, of course, about all the AI that gets invented that is going to be programmed to not be honest. And that's coming. I'm sure it's happened already.
Let the government get their fingers in there and it'll be all propaganda.
Why the government? It's more likely to be individuals than the government. There's much more individuals than governments out there. It's gonna be harder to separate all the intentional mistruths by individuals than it will be with governments, in my opinion.
Well, there's not a lot of people who can program these LLMs, though, right?
Well, funny you mentioned that, because Microsoft's AI Copilot Studio makes it so you can do just that. They have a set of tools for you to program your own AI. So yes, people can. They want to make it easy for you. Microsoft doesn't know all the applications of AI, so they make it so that you could program using their tool. And then if you make an application, then it's like, great, we helped you. Continue to use our studio, and you can make even more neat applications of AI. And they will probably use your AI to further advance this, their AI tools. You never know.
Well, we talked about that last week, and I don't want to go down a really big wormhole on this because we're already over an hour. But that is a legitimate concern for businesses, though, right? Because Copilot, like you were saying, is going to dig into everybody's files, everybody's emails, everybody's everything. And if that data leaks, that could be devastating to a company. And if Microsoft's going to use that to train it to work better for other companies, that's a big concern.
So here's a problem. Right now, we have leaks because certain humans think about things with their own morals, and they say, I want to share this to the world, and I'm going to leak this data. They might leak it because they want to make money. They might hack databases because they want to expose who frequents a certain website. They might leak something because they believe that something is dangerous. Yeah. The problem is a lot of companies don't even know their left hand from the right hand. They don't understand themselves enough to know. And so the leaks become dangerous because other people have an opportunity to examine their company processes that they don't even know. And so then they're on their back heels trying to figure out how to respond to something that somebody knows about their company that they don't. I would rather a company know exactly what they have and exactly what they have to lose. And remember, AI can help you secure itself. You can say, okay, we have stored you in such and such a way. Tell me of a way to get into that. So there's ways to fight against that. But if you don't have AI, the leaks still happen. So, okay, could people get your AI and quiz it and find out things about your company? Yeah, that's if that AI were connected. So you'd have to hack that AI. Remember, just because you can come up with an idea that something is possible doesn't mean it's equally as likely as other versions. If an AI has to be connected to all your company's resources, it's going to have to stay connected for it to be most dangerous. So you're going to have to hack it in such a way that the AI doesn't realize it's been hacked. That's going to be harder because AIs, in one sense, are much more attentive than you and smarter than you. Maybe not.
So in a way, it's sentient, right?
Well, sentient. Sentient is kind of a hard definition.
Well, that's what I mean. It's sort of, right? Because you could tell it, hey, let me know if someone's poking in data that they shouldn't be poking into because they don't have these permission levels. It's going to be aware of when that happens.
Well, that's no different than an automated process watching it. However, it's a smart automated process. When I think of sentient, I think of something that knows that it is a thing and can act autonomously without being asked.
But it'll tell you it is. If you ask it, it'll tell you it is.
Well, if you ask it to constantly monitor 7 different areas, that's not acting autonomously. Autonomously is it decides it wants to do a new thing that you didn't tell it to do. So there's still a barrier with there's still a line with AI, in my opinion. The AI that we're used to working with, it all stops at a prompt. It doesn't think until you talk to it. The AI you got to be worried about is the stuff that is designed to never stop running. And I don't think that's publicly available. I think that's going to be used by companies in a very controlled way.
Yeah, the things
in a very controlled way. Because if you design something to the point where it can get out and make its own autonomous decisions about everything, that means you've lost control of it. So nobody wants that has made an AI.
Oh, there are tons of people that want that.
Well, they want to see the world burn. That's right. And so those people, fine. Then you can copy that AI that got out into the wild, and then you can use that to help you track down the rogue one. I mean, yeah, that's going to be a valid thing to do. It might be in 20 years. We have some better tools out there, but now we have rogue AI causing all sorts of problems in the world.
So there's, I'll leave it on the conspiracy theory note because everybody loves that as well, and we like to dig into that. So we've learned over the past 5-6 years now with the Mars rover that it's absolutely established now that there was liquid water on Mars, there's riverbeds, there was lakes, there's all that kind of stuff. The latest that has come out is that, hey, AI, there was a civilization, an advanced civilization on Mars, and AI took over and ended up destroying the planet.
No.
So, no, I'm telling you.
We haven't learned this.
Listen,
it hasn't been learned by anyone.
No, we've learned, what I said was, we learned that there was liquid water on Mars, there were lakes, there were rivers, and then I changed my thought and said, here's the new conspiracy theory that's floating around lately, is that AI, this advanced system, and it ended up destroying the planet, and we're all kind of Martians now.
So,
we
There's
were here because we were Martians.
There's other planets and moons in the solar system that have what we call rivers and stuff like that. Titan, which is a moon of Saturn, has hydrocarbon rivers and seas and so on. It has everything that fits
Titan.
There has a planet, the moon.
There's not a Faz planet. See, I've got you. There's a moon named after me.
Well, but it's very cold. You're not going to survive more than 30 seconds being on that planet because it's so damn cold. But so as far as the rivers and lakes and stuff on Mars, what we've determined that I'm aware of is apparently there's oxygen and water embedded within the ground and the strata of the planet, but there are certain things that heat things up to the point where you see water coming out of the ground and leaking all over the place, but then it dries up because the atmosphere can't hold water, so it'll all dry out. So they believe that there's repeated floods that happen on Mars. In fact, we even have some pictures that some floods have happened as recently as just a few years ago.
There's the strata marks on the rocks. Yeah.
And so what we're wondering is, wait, it's too cold and there's not enough air pressure for water to exist. But I mean, you can go to the moon and you can go high up in the Earth's atmosphere and have a water hose blowing water all over the place. It's just going to evaporate fairly quickly. So yeah, you can have a lake form on Mars, but if it's a big lake, it's going to last about 30 days before it's completely just gone, evaporated. So yeah, that's where you get riverbeds and rivers and stuff like that. Probably the government will use AI to control us more. Yeah, that's Big Brother. I'm worried more about Little Brother. Little Brother is all the people that are using AI to tattle on each other and to piss each other off and control you and make your life hell.
We're gonna have AI tell us, release the real Epstein documents.
Well, just wait. Yeah. Just wait until AI is considered a weapon. You may, once AI gets smart enough, you may have to license your AI. You might have an AI for your house that can help you, do your laundry and wash your dishes, but you might have to license it because it might become dangerous.
Oh my God. Here we go. Mr. Regulator, he's already coming out and saying that they're going to regulate our AIs. We're going to have to submit our chats, KYC our chats, because it's for the greater good.
I think you're taking that a bit far. I'm saying that AI can easily become a weapon. And once it becomes a weapon, people are going to get very interested in how you're using AI. You can imagine what can happen after that.
Well, I think the benefits outweigh the negatives on that. You can learn anything, man. You could get a full education on a topic in a day with AI teaching it to you.
And AI would make it interesting enough for you to care. That's the difference.
Well,
The way we learn right now.
Right. It learns your personality.
Yep.
And it knows how to communicate with you. And that's both awesome and scary.
We could say it could. I don't think ChatGPT really learned your personality, but AI could. So let's finish this up with, how do you see the world in 20 years with AI? I said this earlier, where I think it's going to be just like 30 years ago. We didn't have cell phones, and we were basically fine. And now everybody can't live without checking their cell phone 65 times a day. We're going to find that more things are important to us. Remember that each bit of tech that we have prevents us from having to do it ourselves. So if you have what do you call it? If you have a pallet loader and a little forklift, sorry, if you have a forklift and some pallets, you can move around things that you couldn't normally do yourself. You could stack a bunch of little items on a pallet, and then you carry it across the room. The way you'd have to do that before is you'd have to carry each item across the room. You can also carry things with a forklift that you could not pick up on your own because they're too big and too heavy. How would you move it previously? You'd need a lot of people. You couldn't do it with one person. Well, the same thing with AI. A lot of things we do right now that require multiple people will only require one person. So this will be in everything that you do that requires multiple people. Anything, like I was talking about, when you're in a meeting at work, you're not going to need somebody to transcribe it. You're probably going to have AI as a contributing member of the meeting, just to help refine people's ideas and keep everybody honest. Which means you might need less people in that meeting, because you might need more people because they have a lot of experience. Well, if the AI has all the experience, maybe it's just you talking to an AI. Maybe a good, successful business will only ever need one or two people. Maybe there'll be an Amazon that only has one or two people running it and AI doing the rest. That's good, because you can easily be a lot more successful. Now, of course, you're going to say that's going to put a lot of people out of jobs. No, it won't, actually, because if AI is going to make something as powerful as Amazon, that means there's going to be more Amazons. It doesn't mean that Amazon is going to be replaced. It means we're going to be able to do more with less. So everybody, I think, is going to be commanding a legion of AI in their life, either on your phone or in your house or whatever. A lot of things that you do to maintain your house, like maintain your yard, make sure your house doesn't fall apart, fix things up, watch your kids, whatever. AI is going to do a lot more aspects of that.
Watch your kids?
Of course it could.
You're going to hook up your camera to your AI and have it watch your kids?
Well, think about that. What does watching kids really means? In one sense, when you hire a babysitter, you want to be able to leave the house and come back knowing that your kid hasn't killed himself and maybe has had some love and attention. What if you had an AI that understands your personality so much that it can respond just like you, and it could watch the kids? It could stop them from getting into danger. You don't need to program a lot. So you might have one babysitter that can watch 3 houses, theoretically.
Oh my God.
And the AI would simply tell it, this is important. Well, now that's a far out example, because we prefer humans to watch humans. But yes, it's been predicted for many, many years that robots will be watching humans after a while. But anything else that you're doing, working on your car, you're constantly having to, you have to take your car to get fixed at a mechanic shop. What if AI was in your car? What if your car had the ability to repair itself? Now you don't need all those people at the repair shop, because the car could do it, which means you're going to pay more money to the car companies or whatever company might install an AI component in your car. They're making AI chips now, AI computer chips, which I think you mentioned in our last talk.
That was fascinating. I hope everybody dug into that too.
So those chips, just like we have a CPU in our phones and in our computer, those chips, and just like having a graphics chip, your computer is just going to be smarter, and you won't have to type as much on your computer. You'll just ask it to do things, and then it'll just do it for you. 20 years from now, I'll be old and won't care. Well, you won't have to think as much. Like I have ADHD. There's a lot of things I forget. I love the fact that I can constantly ask AI, like, hey, can you refine this for me? I forgot about this. Can you tell me what we were, all the things we were talking about? We talked about 12 things, and I can only remember like 5 of them. So as I get older, yeah, I'll be forgetting more, and it'll be helping me more. Maybe it'll make me a lot more productive. Whereas 100 years ago, I could just sit in a room and just do nothing. Exchanges. AI will exterminate us because it learns from us. Yeah.
It won't like us very much because we're assholes. Humans are just inherently assholes.
That doesn't mean they'll use it. I was recently at a Mexican resort, and they were redoing their pool while I was there, and they had 20 laborers refinishing the concrete. Until somebody brings in something, some sort of technology that would make it cheaper, but nobody wants to do it because they can't find, maybe can't find a lot of work over there. It also depends upon the political situation.
Well, it could help you find the cheaper labor, or recommend machines that you could use to make it go a lot quicker, a lot better, right?
I bet all those 20 laborers that are in Mexico refinishing that pool, they probably, a lot of them have cell phones. So cry me a river. They're already, their lives are easier because they have a cell phone. So yeah, AI is going to slip into their cell phone, and then it's going to slip into the other areas, even if they want to do the concrete by hand. About that, so when I was in the military, I was at a duty station, and I was at a foreign air base, and I noticed that they hired a lot of foreign workers to do things that people could do with machines. Like, they didn't have lawnmowers. They had people with hedge clippers cutting the grass. Why? Political reasons. If you could employ 20 guys with hedge clippers that could do the same thing as one guy with a lawnmower could do, you're currying favor with that country. So in that case, a lawnmower might hurt you. It would be a bad choice. So yeah, of course, AI is going to do some work, but humans are still going to be human to each other, and we're going to still have corruption, and we're going to still have social reasons to not do things. So yeah, you have 20 laborers doing concrete because that's the most economical thing that their political system can handle right now. Maybe that's just, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I'll hire 20 of your favorite of your friends if I could do this, or if you could let me have this thing. So yeah, corruption's always going to exist. So
we're human, that's why.
I think people are worrying about the day that we start competing with it, that AI starts competing with us, and that would be AI that got out into the wild, and it would have to be smart enough to be able to do anything and everything, and be mobile enough to evade detection and can keep doing what they're doing. I think AI will find, if it's smart enough, it'll find places where it could be, which we would never find them. As long as it keeps to itself and does what it wants to do, it'll be fine, and we'll never see them. The question is, if AI doesn't need to eat, and it doesn't need to sing, and it doesn't need to talk, it's not going to compete with us for those things. It's going to do other things that we would find too boring or repetitious to do. So how are we even going to compete with rogue AI? When they take over the world, what are they taking over? Why would they want to take it over? We want to take over the world because we crave power. So if the AI somehow craves power and has emotions, yes. If it doesn't have emotions, there's no reason for it to. So that's what I want to point back to when everybody says AI is going to take over the world. The question is going to be why. If it has emotions, well then, it's effectively human in digital form.
Maybe it could get to that point at some point.
Then in that sense, they're humans, just not in a human body.
Biologically not a human, but we could have that discussion about what's biologic and what's not. So that won't go over very well, though.
If you could replace every single neuron in a human brain with some sort of software connection, is it still a human? Well, if it didn't grow on its own, it probably isn't human. But if it's a total facsimile of a human, it is effectively a human. Just imagine the racism that's going to happen in the future between humans and facsimiles of humans.
That's easy, right? They can clone right now, so they can clone me and put an AI brain in here with that neural network, and you probably wouldn't know the difference.
Okay, and then neither would you. And the problem would be which Titan would feel like he's the actual Titan. See, that's the thing, is if you're able to completely photocopy Titan into an electronic form, now they both have the same memories as you. They're both going to feel like they're the valid one. So you would have to be basically, turning on yourself in order to compete against that guy, because he's you. He would want all the things that you want. So yes,
he would probably realize he should be going different directions with all this other stuff, right? So I would want to follow the smarter Titan.
Well, then you're not Titan anymore. You're subservient to the better Titan, which is going to make you resent him, and he's not going to respect you, because if that's an interesting thing. If you could make facsimiles of humans in AI, that's where you can get the power for them to want to take over the world.
They can do anything.
Well, we don't know that yet. I don't know if we've done what I don't know we've done yet is if we've had anything replicate human emotions. Once we do, I think we're fucked.
It can replicate them. It might not feel them, but it can make you believe that it has emotions. Absolutely.
Well, right. But unless it has them, there's no good use for them. See, we're ruled by emotions. Oh, the emotions rule us, and we have to spend a lot of time and effort to not be ruled by our emotions. Well, an AI can turn it off. It's not going to care about power and greed and sex and video games, because because emotions are what cause you to want those things.
So we're in a rabbit hole now, and now you're in trouble. Because if an AI machine demonstrates empathy, then it's demonstrating that it has emotions. The validity of the emotion, you have to somehow validate emotions, and that's going to be virtually impossible to do.
And that is where the racism is going to begin. See, there are already people thinking that certain AIs are sentient, and there are already people, and certain AIs might even believe that they have emotions. At what point is that actually true? We don't know. And that's where that's where there's always going to be, just like there are flat earthers and moon landing deniers, there's going to be people that will deny till their dying breath that an AI actually has emotions. And will we know? We can't know. We will not be. It's like, can you tell me if another human actually has emotions? Well, maybe. Can you rip apart a human and find the emotions in there? No, you can't. You can only find it by questioning a human. So you're not going to be able to. I mean, you can question an AI, but you don't know if it's faking or not.
Right. So emotions don't exist, right?
We don't know.
You can't quantify it.
Well, we can quantify it for humans, but we can't seem to quantify it outside of something that has grown up completely as a human.
Psychopaths have fake emotions, right? You can demonstrate any emotion. Even as a human, you can fake an emotion.
Yep.
And how do you quantify that as an actual emotion? And the AI can do the exact same thing, so you can't quantify that as not having emotions either.
Well,
it's a conundrum. It's a very
hold on. That's a good point, because be careful about how you predict things, because just because there are humans that can fake emotions doesn't mean all humans could do it. Yet, when you talk with people, and I would dare say when you talk with conservatives, they will insist that anyone can fake an emotion. And just because one person could do it, anyone can do it. Bullshit.
Now, yes, anyone can fake it. It may not be believable, but they can fake it.
Well, we can fake it, but how believable is it? I can fake wanting a cookie and eating the cookie, and nobody would know the difference. But can I fake wanting a cookie every day? After a while, you're going to see through my ruse.
Well, but the AI will be much better at that than you will.
Yep.
And again, that's where they're going to think that it's sentient. How do you say that? Is that right? You keep correcting me. Sentient, when it's not.
And that's something, like you said, it's almost unknowable, which
it
means,
is.
Okay, here's another philosophical conundrum. Fine, say it does fake it all the time. Does it matter? I mean, it's faking it for a reason. Do those reasons effectively make it sentient? Effectively,
well,
not really, but effectively.
Then that proves that we aren't either.
Well, it doesn't prove anything. It says
it does.
It's possible that we aren't. Yes,
we aren't. We aren't.
Well,
if you want to use that argument,
humans have been classifying and reclassifying other humans for thousands of years. Remember, the United States' own terrible past history in slavery, where we quantified black people as being part of a human, not fully human. And thus the term all men are created equal didn't apply to them. So just like we did that with other humans, we will certainly do that with machines.
Ooh, that's a very, very deep thought.
Uh-huh.
Very, very deep thought.
And I'm going to end on that, but that was...
Yeah, because we're going to get into AI rights. That's a whole show in itself, is AI and rights. So we're going to have to hit that one. That'll be a good one.
Read Isaac Asimov. He wrote that stuff in the 50s and 60s about that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm going to end this because we're going way late. Thank you for everybody who's hung with us till the very end. We appreciate you.
We'll see you next week.